morning. I'd like to call this meeting to order for the Geneva Historic Preservation Commission for Tuesday, July 15th, 2025. If you can call the roll.
All right. Zelmer,
Here.
Tobler,
Here.
Jensen, McManus, Phillips,
Here.
Solomon.
Here.
All right.
We have a quorum. Okay, next item on our agenda is approval of meeting minutes for June 17th, 2025. Any comments on those meeting minutes? If not, can I get a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
And a second?
I abstain, wasn't there.
Second.
Okay, and we'll just call the roll one more time.
Sure. Zelmer,
Aye.
Tobler,
Aye.
Jensen, McManus, Phillips,
Aye.
Solomon.
Abstain.
Okay, great. Motion passes. Okay, and just for your information, we don't have to call the other people since
Oh.
they're not here.
Thank you.
The next item on our agenda is building permit review applications for 216 James Street. We'll take it away, Emily.
Great. So I've got a little bit of background on the site first. So we're looking right here, basically right in the middle of the historic district. Here's some history. So it was originally located at 109 South 3rd Street. So for the majority of this history, imagine it in that location. It was originally constructed somewhere between 1861 and 1866. A store building was constructed on the same site on 1885. In 1893, it was constructed as a new residence with an office addition, and then additions were made in 1910. 2007, the building was relocated, which we have the permit for, and that permit also includes the emergency egress and ADA construction, which is what we're focusing on today. Other permits that have been pulled are a 1990 interior remodel, 2019 siding and patio remodel, some re-roofing and exterior remodels with guardrails, and the 2024 front porch remodel. So we're looking at this little orange square L shape on the site plan, which is the current location of the fire stair, which again was added in 2007, and the stair footprint with these plans will be consistent with existing. This is the existing stair as you can see it from the sidewalk, and the applicants are proposing to basically just replace that decking and railing with Trex material to match what they already have on their front porch, which was approved in 2024. And here is the written proposal, which is also available in your packets to save your eyes if you want to see any of the more specific details of that proposal. So that's what we've got. If the applicant wants to come up and say anything or answer any questions. Thank you.
Hi. We're Roxanne and Chuck Osborne, owners of the property, and requesting the permit for the stair, exterior stair.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for coming in. You're not changing the footprint of the stair, you're not changing anything else?
Just the material.
Just the material. I don't see any
It's
big
not
issue.
historic material. It's
In-
the same as on the front, so.
Yeah, and it's not a historic stair or anything like that, so I don't see any issues with it. Do you guys,
No,
does
I-
anyone have any questions for the applicant? I don't think so.
Nope.
This is pretty steady stuff
Yeah,
here.
this is, yeah,
Well, we're glad we didn't bring anything difficult.
yeah, exactly.
We were hoping for easy.
Yeah. I don't see any issues with it, so if I can get a motion to approve as presented. I
Motion
guess.
to approve as presented for 216 James Street.
I'll second.
Okay, if you could call the roll.
Zelmer,
Aye.
Tobler,
Aye, sorry.
Phillips,
Aye.
Solomon.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you. Now, do we just
That
go
was easy.
wait for the permit? Will they call us when the permit's ready, or are we good to go?
Yeah, so I'll email you with the HPC approval tomorrow.
Okay.
I'll pass that all through, and the permits will get that at the same time as me, and then they'll call you when it's ready to pick up, and you'll be good to go.
Great, thank you so
so much
much.
for coming in.
Appreciate your
Thanks for coming
time,
in.
thank you.
And thanks for taking care of your historic building.
Yeah, we
Thank
love
you.
it, we love it, thank you.
Okay. The next item on our agenda is 312 North Fifth Street. You can take it away, Emily. Are we good back there, or?
Hi, sorry, we were just investigating what the sound was. Pete thinks it's the new clock, but I've never heard it before, so I can't help.
Okay.
We'll just keep rocking and pretend it's not going on. Okay, great. So just as a reminder, this is a concept review. It's not a permit review, so no permit is being passed today. We're just having a conversation and getting some answers for when that permit does get applied for. So this is for a front porch rehabilitation on 312 North Fifth Street. That is not the button I need to press. And we are all the way up there in the northwest corner of the historic district for this one. And we have some history on this guy as well. This is a really interesting house because of its status as a married house within the district, which means it's several sort of types of houses that were combined at some point because of the need of the residents. So the first portion of it that was constructed was in 1845. It was that workers' cottage. And then the Greek revival portion was constructed in 1855. Those two pieces were conjoined sometime between 1858 and 1862. Based on census data, we think it was by John Green because he lived there with something like 10 of his kids and his in-laws and his wife, so he probably needed the space. The house was moved by Nels Swanson from the northwest corner of 4th and 5th Streets, and then a service wing addition was added from somewhere between 1897 and 1905. The porch was added between 1923 and 1930. At this point, it was not enclosed, and it's not enclosed on the 1945 Sanborn Fire Insurance map either. We believe, based on the materials that make up the porch and the windows and the siding, that it was enclosed sometime in the 1960s. So that's our focus for today. In the 1980s, a two-story addition replaced the service wing in the back of the house, and in 2014, the current homeowners began renovations to restore earlier features initiated, so they've been around the block a few times with the HPC. So here are some of those permits that have been pulled historically. The porch was repaired in 1994. It was at 1.2 residential units. In 2007, there were roof repairs. In 2017, vinyl siding and exterior doors were replaced. In 2017, there was a window removal and a new window addition. 2019, more siding and the exterior patio door and deck, and in 2021, the deck again. So before we go any further, this is kind of a complicated project, so I have it split up into bite-sized pieces. I'm going to go through them decently quickly, and then we'll be able to go back and have the conversation around whichever pieces we want to focus on. So this is what's existing there right now, looking west and looking northwest at the property. And again, we're looking at that porch, which starts basically with the door and then to the left of it. And then this is what's proposed with the changes. Things to highlight is that the door will be moving to the left a little bit, which creates the need to remove one of the windows. The applicants also want to create some more wall space and usable space within that porch, really bringing it back to life as an actual part of their house and not just storage. So they're proposing blind windows on the corners to create more wall space on the inside of house, but keep that character of the continuous wall of windows on the outside. And then they're proposing some siding and window changes as well, which I'll get into. So here are the plans for that existing and proposed, and we can come back to this if it's easier to look at. This is the proposed porch overhang addition, so you can see it with that little number 1, what it looks like now, and then what it would be changed to with that number 2, and some details of that. This is the proposed movement of that door. So where those windows cut off on pictures 1 and 2 is basically the same location on the house. So you can see that window loss and then the one blind window as sort of a compromise. And then additionally, you can also see the wider porch and some of the porch materials that are being proposed for that. And then this is a proposed change in the door. The current door is a modern replacement. It's 21st century from like Menards or something. These are the proposed windows, which we have some photos of the condition in your packets, and you'll see them in a second. So they're proposing Marvin windows for that, and you can see one of the storms is missing here. Some of the window conditions, there are some closure issues, there's some missing glass. They're made with aluminum channel balances, which are at their end date essentially because they were installed probably in the 60s. Some other paint and wood conditions. And then a proposed siding change as well. So in this picture with the yellow, on the right there is the aluminum siding that's on the porch. On the left is wood, which is a lot of the rest of the house. And they're proposing James Hardy artisan siding, clapboard, not the gray color, that's just what was on the website, with a proposed below floor line addition of V-groove vertical siding, that's also that Hardy board, which would look, oh well, here's some siding conditions of the aluminum siding. And then that's what the proposed siding change would look like. And I believe, yep, that's all we got. So if you guys want to come up and make any more comments about your goals or answer questions.
Sorry, so I'll introduce myself. I'm Anais Bowering.
I'm Daniel Bowering.
This is my mom, Eileen Faulkner, who lives with us now too. So we're happily a multi-generational household with our kids. I think Emily did a great job giving you an overview. We're still pulling together all of the details from the contractor to get pricing and whatnot. But we thought we'd come in and sort of get some feedback, see if we're going in the right direction, and hear what you have to say. So,
I'll just add that ever since we moved into the house, it was foreclosed when we moved in, and it was a rental property before we took ownership. And since then, there's been a lot of deferred maintenance we've had to do, and so we're really taking seriously our spot in the historic district and trying to do work on the house that brings the house up to the standards that we're trying to have in the HPC.
Great, thank you.
Any further comments?
No.
Okay.
No comments. Good. Just to clarify in my mind, the corner windows are the ones that are the blind windows? Okay. And is your intent to replace all the windows within the porch?
yes.
Yes.
Okay. And who did your documents, by the way?
These
These
Yeah.
images?
are architect.
Okay, you did have an architect. Good. Good. Always like to hear that. Kevin, comments?
Of course, I always.
I know you have comments, but
Yeah. Could you give a little more detail about the blind windows, and are they, can you describe what they'll look like when you think they're done?
What is a blind window?
Oh, so my mom would like explanation of what the blind windows are. So right now, the porch is almost entirely windows.
Maybe we could click over to the picture.
Yeah, the actual. Right, and I think this picture might be from like 2015, judging by the state
It
of
says
the.
2020 in the package.
Yeah.
Oh, 2020. Oh, okay. All right. Wow. Things have grown since then. I don't. Oh, okay. Interesting. All right. So, so the blind windows, I guess in terms of how they would be built, that is a better question, I think, to be answered by the architect a little bit down the line. Like, I don't know. I guess I'd have to go back and look at how much detail she went into in the drawings. But basically, it is actually like a historically used device, which is to keep symmetry by having something that looks like a window, but is in fact not. So my guess is there would be some dimension to it. So it would be, but you know, in those four places, instead of a window that moved at all or had glass, it would be something that was wall, but then had like, I'm guessing some kind of, and molding is not the right word, trim, put onto it to make it resemble a window.
So would there be like a hardy board plank behind
I would
where
think
the
so.
glass exists currently, right?
Again, I am
Well,
not,
so-
oh, sorry.
From the drawings that we've seen, so this is something that could be fleshed out in the
Yeah.
full proposal, but from the drawings that we've seen from the architect, we're talking about something which would be, yeah, hardy board instead of glass, and no moving parts, but still trimmed out to respect the original,
Yeah.
to respect the current, I think she used the word rhythm of the porch. The purpose of the blind windows is entirely pragmatic. We need to be able to use the space inside. We can't arrange furniture against something. Thank you. We can't arrange furniture on the inside walls if they're all windows, and also it becomes prohibited to heat and cool that space if it's just a greenhouse.
Would you envision that the hardy board on the inside would be painted the same color as whatever the house paint is? Or in some cases, I think that board in there, or that blank part is painted black, for instance. Do you have any feel for which direction you might
Sorry,
go
on the
with that?
outside or the inside? You're talking
On
about
the
the
inside,
exterior.
for the blind windows,
Would we-
you're gonna have a hardy board there.
Would we
that-
paint the inside of it black?
No, the outside.
Oh.
The thing that would
Oh,
be visible
interesting,
from the
right.
street.
The glass surrogate, you're asking, would we paint that black?
I hadn't thought about it. We
Okay.
do, I mean, I think, so with the windows that we replaced, we did paint them a dark color and we put, so these actually, this can't be from 2020 because we have replaced a bunch of the windows, so I can see the
That's a
old
good
windows
point.
there. So I'm gonna go ahead and say, I think this is from like something we submitted in 2015 or 2016.
I believe this is from the 2016-2017 survey.
Survey? Okay, that would make sense. But so maybe it may not be very big, but if we go to one of the pictures
In the-
from our architect, I think she has, well, okay, you can see a little bit of one on the west side, but we've replaced a bunch of the first and second floor windows with Marvin 2/2 lights, and we painted those dark because we liked that historic look of, you know, it looks like an eye. So I don't know, I'd be open to that. I think that might look more interesting than it being a big old cream thing next to it. The reason that these got painted cream is just that this paint happened before we had replaced the windows and we didn't think to have the painters paint them the darker color yet. But yeah,
Would
what
the
are your thoughts
size
about it?
of the replacement windows be the same as the existing windows?
Yes.
Yeah, the outline of each individual window should stay the same.
Right.
So, like I said, our architect has been interested in keeping that rhythm. So we want, for example, in this picture, which is facing north, there's 4 bays. We would keep 4 bays, but only 2 windows. But, and the profile of each window, the width and the height of it shouldn't change. The position of it shouldn't change.
And based on the recommendation from Emily, what the architect is trying to match is actually the storms, because the windows on the inside are not really visible for the most part. I mean, you can kind of see the one that's on the easternmost corner, because we don't have a storm for that bay.
For the entire time we've lived in the house, the storms have been what you see from the street.
Right,
Your replacements will be 1/1.
1/1.
basically, Which is essentially what you have.
right.
Would you be you'd going back with a Marvin window, so you wouldn't have a storm on it with the replacement window?
Well, we'd have a double glazed.
I think we'd have a screen, not a storm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you would, okay. Yeah, and I think that there's a couple ways you could do the blind window. One of them is to do what you were saying, and I think it would be drywall on the inside. I think it'd be furred out and drywall, and just all you'd be doing is you'd have a full insulation wall there and stuff like that. And you could actually have a piece of glass, which would be a spandrel glass, which is back painted black on the back of it. And then you could add that, but that, I mean, I don't know whether everyone would need that level of requirement. I mean, that would make it look like glass, and that would be, there's some issues with things heating up and that sort of thing, but we've done.
I was gonna ask what happens to glass painted black when it faces south, because.
It'll, I mean, spandrel glass, it is, when I say it's painted, it's really, it's not just painted, you can't scrape it off with your finger or anything like that. And you wouldn't have access to it because it would be painted on the back. So that's one way you could handle that, or we could do a flat panel there also. It would look more realistic with a piece of glass there, but I don't know whether you'd go to the level of having two different planes of glass, if you will. So just a thought on that. Are you planning on, I mean, we don't want to really get into colors per se, but would you do a darker color to match the rest of the house for your windows?
Yeah, no, I think the plan is to have these windows match the window sash color, which is some very dark green that kind of looks black, but it's from that historic Benjamin Moore collection that
Sure.
we picked the house color from and the trim color from.
Good. So I think that, I mean, I don't know what the rest of the commission thinks, but I'm not sure putting glass in there is a great idea, but it's something that you should talk to your architect about and see whether she thinks it's something you should do.
I think that's a good idea, just because it provides more uniformity with the rest of the windows.
Yes.
And it's not so blatantly
False.
or fake.
Yes. Yeah. And if you
Even
go-
those, I think those, if you have glass, I think those actually are called false windows.
Yeah, and
Right.
it's a spandrel glass that you're looking for, and that's something. If you go back to the original picture, you can see, go there. This is the look you're gonna get most of the time unless it's night. So you're always gonna see the dark of the window. They're always coming out black
Well,
unless it's.
I do want to point out, this is before I hung up curtains, and so there are curtains, so now they actually look white a lot of the time because, well, except a few of them look blue, because that was the curtains I
Yeah, well,
reused.
Trying to keep the sun out.
yeah.
Yeah,
But even if you look at the one with the other picture, it does come back pretty black, so. It's just the way glass works sometimes, so. But, and the way, so I think a black spandrel glass would look really good, and it would be a really good, it would keep the material the same, so.
I just have a question on drawing A2. Get to that, yeah, that one. That's the same one as in the packet. So on the proposed, it looks like on the front of the porch there's, I think I count only 4 open windows, or 4 windows, versus 5 that are on the other drawings.
yeah, I think that's just a mistake, because we were
Okay.
going back and forth about what we wanted to do, and after feedback from Emily, we were trying to put more windows back in. Some of the initial feedback I got from Jackie before she left made it seem like, or anyway, my understanding, and this could have been my mistake, was that reducing the number of windows was likely to be okay, because this was not an original part of the house. And so she thought, because we were very upfront about, like, we want to make it usable space, it's been storage because we've not conditioned it because it is so poorly insulated and whatnot. And so our original concept had more changes to the windows, and I think she just has not updated this drawing. We were focusing more on the elevations to give you
So
guys
on the
a
front,
sense.
you'll take away one window that it's next to the stairs. You'll blind the next one. You'll have 5 that are regular windows, and you'll blind the one on the end. Okay. Yeah, to me, I mean, those windows and that enclosure is really, has limited, if any, historical significance. and, replacing them or blinding them or whatever, that's kind of a, I have no problem with the replacement. The blinding is kind of more of an aesthetic thing that, leave it maybe up to you with some of our suggestions, but.
Yeah. Does anyone have an issue with the width of the new entrance?
Yeah, I think it looks better.
And you can still see the original Greek Revival house, which I think is important. Do you agree, Kevin?
Yeah, and they'll be adding some siding on both sides, right? So that's where you get the added width, which, I mean, we have a larger door, do you think? Or will that
I think-
basically opening be the same size?
I think the door opening we're envisioning would stay quite standard, but we did want wider steps. These are really narrow. Use this entrance, despite how they look. They do not hold paint.
Our household encompasses the three of us plus 2 small children and a dog. And so when we try all to go in the front door at the same time, it is a circus.
Single file only?
Oh, when we try to go in the back door, it's also a nightmare, which is why we want to do this. We want to be able to like come in and put our stuff down, take off boots and coats and whatnot. But yeah, and I mean, in the Greek, I think all of this is happening on the farmhouse side. So we're just moving things over a bit so that there's more space to navigate.
Yeah, just to be clear, there's nothing about any of these plans which should touch anything about the Greek Revival 2-story structure.
Right.
Yeah, basically your stairs will be shifted over and it'll take up that window to the far right.
Right.
Looking at it now.
Right.
I think it's a fine solution too. I don't
Yeah,
think
that's
it's-
great.
I think it, I guess the only other question to the commission that I would have is the skirting. I think it actually is going to look better with the skirting rather than in continuing that waterboard around, or that stream course around. If you go back to I think that makes more sense than bringing the
Having the vertical,
the
bottom versus the
horizontal go
horizontal.
all the way down.
Yeah.
Because if you go to the original picture, it does look a little,
Oh, I see. You're saying having skirting on either side of the doorway?
No, I
No.
think the architect's rendition looks very good. I think
Great.
that-
All right.
yeah.
We think so too, but yes.
But, I mean, the commission might have
Okay.
an opinion about, but the aluminum siding is not original, and you don't know what's under, do you know what's underneath there?
We don't. It's gonna be an interesting can of worms, which is why we put in our aim is to preserve as much as we can, but every time we fix something, we've really tried to do it properly, because we've uncovered all kinds of interesting workarounds.
Yeah.
People cutting into the joists to run some HVACs. We got a lot of sistered up and replaced joists. It is important to us that we make sure things are Dakota. It's real spongy in there right now. So like the floor shakes when you walk on it. So we'd like it to feel safe and
Yeah.
durable. And so, we do not know what's under the aluminum.
So adding the skirting would be a nice way to add an exterior crawl space.
Yeah.
So that we can get under there for
Right.
inspections and stuff, because we don't
Yeah.
have that right now.
Nope.
Oh, you don't have any access to that at all?
There's a little bit of access from inside the basement.
If you're brave and you suck it in, you can kind of squeeze through a hole in the foundation.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, mice are very good at navigating it, but
I'm
for
sure they are.
humans, it's a little more
And
dicey.
chipmunks and things like, little people, that are little things that.
So what's holding the porch up in the front there?
Don't know.
You don't know?
We don't know exactly.
It was foreclosed when we bought the house. There were no disclosures. There was no nothing. It was just.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, the siding policy says that you should remove that aluminum siding to see if there's original siding under there. And then if there is, then the whole repair, replace, and,
Yeah,
use substitutes comes into play.
Yeah, it does, but you gotta look at what the quality of what's underneath
Yeah,
there.
right.
And that's where it becomes more of an issue, but, and who knows what's under there, and that's the problem.
I wouldn't bet on it.
I
So
don't know.
In 2017, you did some siding, right?
We,
What
let's see.
was that?
So the first siding we replaced, I think we did actually get administrative review, it's actually the back wall of this. So it's rear facing, but it had, I don't know, is there, oh yeah, okay, so sorry. So on the addition, you can kind of see the roof line there. That was all clad in vinyl when we bought the house. So when we bought the house, there was cedar siding, there was aluminum siding in the front, and there was vinyl on all of the addition and this one back wall of the one-story part. And it had all been painted and it had all shrunk. So it was like warped and falling
Literally
off.
falling off the house.
And because that was the worst wall, I think in 2015, we got approval, we put up cedar there, put in a little insulation, because all we had there was nogging. So then I'm trying to remember, I think in 2017, we got the permit to replace those 4 front windows, although we did them in 2 different times. So we did the lower 2 on the Greek Revival, and there's another one that matches it around the side. And then interestingly, the 2 windows above it are actually a slightly different dimension. I'm not sure this architect actually drew that faithfully, but I remember Michael Lambert, pointed that out to us. We did replace the upper 2 also with Marvin 2/2, and then and I think it was when we were. So I mean, we've had to stagger the work for what we can afford to undertake at a particular time.
But if the question was about the siding,
So I think in 2017, we replaced the south wall of the 2-story part, but we got approval from HPC to do all of it. And then I think we did the other 2 walls in 2020 or 2021.
there was a lot of like lead paint remediation, and
Right.
We were engaged pretty heavily with HPC because we were like stripping the paint and repairing as many of the clapboards as we possibly could. So there was a lot of work with like wood epoxy. Some boiling hot summer, I was up on the scaffolding a lot. So there was a lot of remediation of the existing siding,
Right.
and the replacement, all of the siding replacement was going from vinyl to cedar.
There was a little bit of patching that we had to do here and there where there were boards we just couldn't epoxy back to life. But then, so now, other than this front part, everything is cedar.
Other than the front of the ones, like the part
Right,
where
the front
it's
of the
obviously
porch.
aluminum, everything else in the house is cedar.
Right.
There is a planner up there if that's easier.
Oh,
Normally, I have to see
It's
other people. Oh, okay.
underneath.
Oh, great.
And
But am I allowed, or are we able to toggle too? Nope, I don't know. I never
There you go.
messed with this thing. Okay,
all right.
good to know. Thank you.
So the other thing I noticed on the drawings was, and that skirt, I'll call it a skirt, that's going to be underneath the porch, the vertical V-groove. That's kind of been drawn like it's the same reveal or the same thickness as the siding, but I'm not sure that V-groove comes, or you can do that. It comes in a thickness that's going to have a 7-inch reveal. So I just bring
Okay,
that up
yeah.
so that
We can
when
talk about
she
that.
redoes the drawings,
Uh-huh.
make sure that kind of detail is accurate.
Okay,
So just to be clear, you are talking about the skirting here,
Yes.
and your concern is that there's not enough of a reveal in the way it's drawn right now.
Well, my observation is just that the Hardy V-groove plank comes with a 7-inch exposure.
oh, okay.
So-
There's only one option for it?
I believe so.
Okay.
That might be something you'd want to look into.
Sure.
But, so that's going to be different than the reveal on the horizontal siding, that whether it's, replacing existing wood siding, or if you went the Hardy route, then you said that it would be 3.5-inch reveal there, right, on the horizontal
believe you.
siding.
Yeah.
To match the cedar on the rest of the house.
Right.
So I just, for the future drawings,
Sure.
have her look into that to make sure that exposure on the skirt is accurate.
Okay. Can do. If there's a 7-inch reveal, does that affect the judgment of the HPC? Then do we have
I
to?
don't think so, no.
It's a
But I-
vertical versus a horizontal. I don't see it as a big issue. It just.
But you should be aware of it too,
Sure.
because you might not like that
Aesthetically.
look.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah,
Great.
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, anything is gonna look better than what's there, but that's my humble opinion, having lived there 10 years, but yeah. I guess I'm curious, so in the back, when we did the deck, we did that in cedar. We haven't kind of delved down into the stairs material, but do you guys have thoughts on that? We talked about that, or sorry, and Emily, if I'm jumping ahead. I guess, I think when we did our deck, the composite stuff was still significantly more expensive than cedar. And it gets, I don't know, I guess the thing I don't like about it is it gets super duper hot.
Composite
The
or
composite does. And because I could imagine running down the stairs in my bare feet sometimes, while maintenance is an issue, I think when we were talking to Emily, we were leaning towards probably cedar, but I was curious whether you guys had thoughts or
We
input on
always
that.
prefer the natural cedar material over the synthetic material. And it's not like you're replacing anything per se, so you're not replacing in kind, but I think that the real material rather than Trex would be preferred, actually.
Okay.
Especially on the front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. But we have approved Trex on the front, for example, on the Harvey's Tail has that, and that's fine too, and that would be this condition.
Right.
So, but it does wear a little differently too, and especially if it's in the sun like that, it gets a different view.
Well, and I mean, it is also capable of warping and twisting over time,
Yes.
and so it doesn't, okay, yeah.
It's
I mean,
not a
nothing
perfect
lasts
material.
forever. Right. Okay.
Okay, any other comments, Andrew, anything?
I'm good. I'm cool. Yep.
Did you get enough from us, what you're looking for?
I think so. Let's see, did we cover all of your mini topics, Emily?
Do you want me to just go through and make sure there's
Sure.
something that?
The roof, I think.
Oh, the
little
roof, okay,
I
yeah.
mean, I don't have no issues with that
Okay.
myself.
I don't either.
No.
Can you show me a picture of the existing? It has nothing now, right?
Nothing, just a little protection for keeping the snow off of that top part
Yeah,
would be real nice,
pretty
or
straight.
rain.
Yeah, I don't see an issue with that.
The siding that's above the porch, is that to be potentially?
Oh, wait, with the
replaced?
eyebrow?
Yeah.
I think,
What is the question though?
I think he means that part.
Yes. correct.
That's
So-
siding right there.
We
But
added,
what,
oh,
sorry, what is your question about that part?
The question is that to be replaced or repaired, or what is that? Is that also aluminum, or is that cedar?
That's cedar.
Okay.
that cedar, that had been, so before we finished fixing the siding and then painted it, that was, trying to think what was even up there. Was it vinyl up there? So we added the eyebrow because we thought it looked really bad, not kind of showing the historic roof line of the farmhouse when there hadn't been this enclosed porch. So it used to, I think there
never
was
was
some kind of
there.
vinyl before. No, I mean, I think that likely there was so that siding that's there, we added, so probably in when did we paint? 2015 or 2016?
Chris did that, so it was
Probably.
pre-2017.
Okay, so sometime around 2015, 2016. So, because I think the last stuff he did was in 2017.
The direct answer to your question is, we have no plans to change anything about that.
Right.
Okay.
But that's
We
not.
have plans, but then the porch also is gonna, it's
Right.
gonna tell us what our plans are when we go to.
When you open it up and see what's behind and what's
Yeah.
inside, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But I think the important part is that the drawings that the architect provides are the target. The target's not going to change. We are going to do everything we can in this project to make sure that we hit our target.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I have one question. The packet says that the workman's house there was built in 1845. Is that correct? That would make it one of the oldest structures in Geneva.
I'm not able to see that part of the property on any historic maps. And the way that the survey is right now, things aren't dated quite with footnotes. But that's what's in the survey that was worked on by both Michael and Jackie, so
Okay.
I would trust it. But yeah, it is a very
It's
old
more
portion.
detailed than I was aware of. We walked through the house with Michael back not long after we bought the house, and anyway, so I think there's some amount of guesswork. We can tell that the joists in the two different houses were both vertically sawn, and they go in different directions, which is not uncommon, I think, with married structures. But we don't, I think, know where either of them were prior to being located on the corner. So like, I think the first really solid evidence we have is when they were located on the corner
Of 4th and 5th.
of 4th and 5th, where the Victorian is now. Is we have that on a map, but my guess if I'm guessing Michael put down these dates, I don't know, but my guess is that has to do with features he was able to
What's on the
see
inside.
on the inside. But I don't think we know the location that they were moved from. And we did have the the Geneva History Museum find what they could for us. So we've seen this census record that's John Green and his 8 children, all of whom were adults and working, interestingly, and his father. They had outdoor stairs, no indoor plumbing. They would have, outdoor kitchen. So anyway, when we feel crowded in the house with the 5 of us and a dog, we try to remind ourselves that,
Could be worse.
yes.
We got more stuff than they do.
Undoubtedly. So yeah, I don't know what that would be based on, because I haven't seen anything to make it really conclusive when either of them was built.
And I can spend more time, I can do a real dig on that when it comes to the permit, because I'll have some time to
Well, it'd
look
just
around
be
and see.
interesting because
Yeah,
Yeah,
if we
very,
find that
very
this
early.
is that much older.
It's amazing to me the number of houses that were moved in Geneva. It's like every house didn't start out where it was, and sometimes it's rotated 90 degrees. And my house, which is over on 6, started right on State Street, and they moved it. But it just tells you that it was easy to move and expensive to build, so.
Well, these were conjoined
Joined.
when they were at this corner?
Mhm.
Yes. Okay. But they may have come from 2 different places and conjoined at the corner? And
At
then,
bare minimum, they would have had to be moved a little bit because they wouldn't have originally been butting up next to each other, especially the difference in class of people that would have originally had a worker's cottage versus a 2-story Greek revival. They wouldn't have been wall to wall until that was a choice.
until it was owned by the same person?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and this was in 1858. This was the northernmost edge of town. So this was the first house on that whole block. And again, this is all for Michael Lambert, but the conjecture was, they owned the whole block and they probably used the rest of it for subsistence farming. And yeah, and then, dug a whole new foundation when they moved it, which also feels like staggering now to haul up all that limestone and redo it, but.
You guys should organize like a Kon-Tiki kind of competition where somebody moves their house using those techniques.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep, get some oxen,
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
big logs.
Get some logs and put big
Yeah.
oaken logs across and move it over. Yeah, that would be.
Not our house though.
It'll be interesting to see what kind of framing you have underneath that porch, because,
Oh, yeah.
I hope it's just interesting and not catastrophic.
yeah, my kitchen was originally a porch, and I've had to do a lot of reinforcing for that, so.
Oh yeah, when the contractor was looking through our basement and saw the railroad ties that they used under the addition from the 80s, no less.
Oh, God.
Which is, covers over the area that had, like we have this big remnant of the fireplace that would have been the kitchen that was added on, sorry, whenever that was, off of the 2-story part. So there's a bunch of those stones there, and then they made a crawl space around it. So there's like a cistern that they carved into, and then they just like, there's no,
Beam.
there's no beam. There's,
Railroad ties.
there's a few
Not
railroad.
ties, there's rails.
Yeah, sorry,
Rail,
yes.
oh.
Some sections
Proper
of,
metal rails like you use in construction
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
the railroad.
so even in the 1980s, apparently, they were just doing their best to reuse historic materials. So,
Wow.
yeah, but anyway, that's a problem for another day.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I just
Okay.
have one more question.
Yeah.
I noticed on the drawings that they're labeled as option 3. Were you guys considering other options that you discarded?
Oh, yeah.
And were they significantly different than this, or why did you,
Yes, they
how
have.
did you settle on this one versus the others?
Oh, I'm in talking with Emily and kind of getting a sense of what she thought might be most historically appropriate and what she thought you guys were going to be most likely to go for, so we didn't come in here and get turned
What
down.
did they come in with first?
It was variations on the number of windows, on the
Placement of
number of
windows.
blind windows. It was
Yeah.
variations on the design of the porch, not necessarily the
Right.
position of the door, but how the overhang was designed.
No,
So
or- well,
not
so-
nothing terribly dramatic.
So at one point, instead of the blind windows, there was more of a corner board. But Emily steered us away from that because it felt too conjecture-y and too much in line with the Greek revival part. And I think the architect was trying to draw them together, but it seemed more appropriate to keep the distinctive features more separate.
Did you consider where the blind windows are now, just infilling that with siding?
Yes, that was one of our proposals. But again,
If that is a
If-
design
if-
which is acceptable to the HPC, then we would consider revisiting that. But like I said, we're trying to make decisions to preserve.
Well, that's your
what-
preference. I was just curious if that was, because
Is
that
it
was
a-
like one of the first things that
Uh-huh.
came to my mind when, I was considering or looking at the blinded windows, which
Okay.
is an unusual solution. I mean, it's acceptable, but it's unusual. I mean, I don't know of any other blinded windows on a home in town.
Well, if omitting the blinded windows in favor of siding is acceptable to the HPC, then maybe we could go back to the drawing board on that aspect of the plan.
the main thing is we wanted more wall space.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
And-
I mean, that would be
Right.
the same wall space.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Proposing now.
I could go either way on blind windows versus siding. We had the impression that it might go over better if we were preserving more of the historic
Character.
appearance of windows, because again, we're butting up against that era of significance. We don't know exactly when this was enclosed, and so,
See, I think if that porch had been open and you came to us to enclose that porch, I would not approve that. Because I think enclosing porches on a primary facade is something that the Park Service wants you to avoid. It's not a recommended solution for anything. So the fact that it was enclosed in the 60s, to me, that makes it, the historical integrity of that is very limited. So,
fair.
what you want to do there is, not as restricted, I don't.
can we get opinions from others just to
I would-
understand?
I actually like the solution that's presented, and I think it keeps the character of the porch, and I think it would start to not look like a porch without that. And so that's kind of, I like this solution, and while I don't say that I wouldn't approve the other solution, I would want to see it and have it more fleshed out. Than I could see issues with trying to deal with the corners, and I could almost see approving something where you took all the windows off the one side versus the one end versus the blind window, you know. But that's conjecture too. I like this solution. I think it's clean. I think it's clean. It does, even though I understand the idea that it would be, it's not really, it's conjecture, but it was always a porch, I think. So it still looks like a porch to me.
So just so I understand from the administrative side, if we did want to revisit the blind window issue, are we looking at another month and then another consultation before the final permitting?
You could
I
probably.
think it's, yeah, I
Like,
think,
how would we come into these meetings prepared for permitting if we're now branching out and looking at other options?
That's where it gets a little bit tricky. You could, I mean, I don't know what the rest of the commission has to think about that.
I was just thinking that I've never heard of a blind window before. This is the first time. So I'm just kind of thinking, how is that going to look compared with the rest of the windows? Is it going to, if you walk by and look at it, it's going to be like, well, there's something definitely wrong with these. These just don't match. And I'm just wondering, looking at the timeline, it was 1960s when it was closed. That could be from 1960 all the way to 1969, right? Or possibly the 70s. So I don't know. I get the porch look. It kind of gives it the porch look, but I also look at, like, how's that going to look with the blind windows or black windows in each corner. I guess I really don't have a preference.
If I might just talk about what the proposal 1 was, so we could get a little bit of an idea of how we landed at proposal 3, and that might help the thinking. Proposal 1 included sort of a Greek Revival-esque, almost ionic line in the corner rather than just having the simple corner piece that is there now, which really brought that Greek Revival building over into the porch, which, like we just said, was probably enclosed sometime in the 60s. They weren't doing Greek Revival then. And really the character of this house and the reason that it's contributing to the district is because it's a married house. So having those clear sections, the workers' cottage, the Greek Revival, the porch, the rear addition, really is what gives it that character. So I wanted, in giving my advice, to recommend that that porch character remains as specifically a porch that was probably enclosed in the 60s as it could be. And with that sort of Greek Revival corner that they had going, the window proportion had also changed. So originally the corner windows were about half the width, same height, but about half the width to give themselves more space in that way. And it really changed the rhythm of the porch, where we are looking at the porch today that has a very regular rhythm, the same line going through all the way through. And keeping that, even with the blind windows, seemed like a better solution to keep that rhythm and that idea of the porch in the context of it being a married house. Additionally, the blind window is actually, that term is actually an English term for it. So false window can sometimes be used more commonly in the US, so that might be part of why you haven't heard of it more. But that's a really common historic building technique, even starting buildings where they wanted to keep that rhythm. And it's used commonly in rehabilitation, less so now, because we don't let ourselves, our eyes don't get tricked in the same way that people would let their eyes get tricked historically when they were looking at things like faux marble, faux brick, faux windows. But that is a historic method, and I think that's where your architect came up with the idea from.
I kind of like the consistency of the before and the after. You got the same look and that, but you're going to come out with your goal on the inside of having your extra wall space and such, but yet you have the uniformity from before and after on the outside. That'd be the direction I would look at. I think it's a cleaner look.
And I do think, I agree with Emily very much so that there are clear portion, this house is a marriage of many
Oh, yes.
things.
Yeah.
And so it's like the Greek revival, the worker cottage, the Greek revival, the addition in the 80s, and then the porch. So it's kind of like, they all have their own separate little character. And I think that's actually a plus. Not that going from a blind window or a false window to filling in the, I think I would want you to look at it hard with a rendering of what it's going to look like when you have either siding or a panel there, rather than a false window.
That makes sense. I mean, I think aesthetically, I could kind of go either way. And as with some of the things that have been done to our house without, I'm going to say, the aid of an architect,
Yes.
my guess based on also the interior construction is they were just doing the absolute cheapest, easiest thing they could do to get some more inside space.
That's the real historic
Right.
authenticity.
So, I think that, so I hear and respect the trying to keep the 1960s character, but I guess I would say that has had less interest to me, because it's not even like interesting 1960s. Like there was some cool architecture going on in the
Oh, I know.
60s, but this was not that. This was just, let's slap up,
Let's get some windows so that
yeah,
we can
I
make
mean,
it a
it's not,
three-season room.
there's not drywall on the inside either. It's just
No.
like paneling this thick.
And I'm sure
and-
there's no insulation in the wall.
I'm gonna go ahead and say I think that's accurate. Not even nogging. Okay, so we will take that under advisement and think hard about that. But I do appreciate the consideration about helping us make this actually useful interior space, because
What was option 2?
Variations on the theme,
yeah,
yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
One big plate glass.
that would be 60s.
Does,
Railroad ties blocking the window from the basement.
You do it.
If we're redoing the entrance, then the front walkway leading from the entrance to the city's sidewalk, does the HPC have opinions about how we do that?
Is it existing right, what's now there?
Oh, there's a cement sidewalk leading from the existing stairs out to the city sidewalk. I don't know if it
So
may.
when you expand it, it won't line up with that sidewalk going out.
No, we're imagining
So that
that
walkway
will,
out to
oh
the
yeah, there you go.
sidewalk.
It does, I mean, there's more plants, but it looks roughly like that.
Yeah.
Oh, right, and so then through the greenway, is that what you mean, Daniel?
No,
That won't line up.
Well,
What
yeah, so
material-
this won't go all the way through. If this door moves, then the sidewalk is gonna move too. It'll be over here a little bit.
Right.
But then is it on us to make sure that the materials match? Do we,
They don't have purview over that.
oh, okay, great.
I mean, we're open to hearing ideas if you have them, but we don't need to take up more of your time.
We actually probably do have purview over the materials in the front
Of the sidewalk?
of the walk from the sidewalk to the house. We have approved things
Oh.
over on River Road, River Lane, that they wanted to go with it was originally, historically, it was a flagstone, and they went with a bluestone. And we had no issues because it was an existing natural material where they went to a bluestone, which is just more uniform than the flagstone. The flagstone was wonky. And so,
Can I interrupt really quick? Sorry.
sure,
So for that one, the walkway was administrative review, and that was Bluestone as well. But then the commission reviewed the
Oh,
elevated sort of,
oh, okay.
like a seating area that just it led into.
But it's not really our purview, but it's administrative. Okay.
The matrix has walkways, expansion or modification, and walkways, replacement in kind as administrative for all options from non-contributing to significant. So that would be,
Okay. You.
yeah.
All right. Well, then we will talk about that with you when we get further along.
Eventually.
Yes, eventually.
I have no other questions.
We're cool.
We're cool.
Great.
Do you have everything you need from us and more?
Yeah, no, this was very helpful. I really appreciate it. I feel like this way we can hopefully pin down some of those costs so that we can finalize a permit application yeah, come back soon, we hope.
Very good.
Well, we
So-
appreciate you coming in for
Yeah.
Yeah, we
the
do.
concept review, because
Thanks.
I think we appreciate that before
No, it definitely
applicants
helps.
come in, so spread the word.
Yeah,
Indeed,
More-
indeed.
We would like more of this.
yes.
Thank you all for coming in. I'll be in
All right.
contact.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. Next on our agenda is the secretary's report.
All right, Secretary's report. I have administratively approved 11 permits. One of those you guys got an email about, that one West State Street building that is non-contributing, and they're changing their siding. Additionally, there's been a lot of signs coming through, a lot of things like driveway replacement in kind, one fence in a rear yard, and construction outside line of sight. So I think it's just summer construction. Weather's nice, they're out there. Thank you to everyone who was able to attend the camp event. If you weren't able to attend and you're jealous, we have the slides available, and I typed up some of my notes that are most pertinent to like a general group, and I'd be happy to send those along to anyone interested. And then finally, starting next month, I'll be bringing back the 5-minute field guides.
All right.
So I have some ideas brewing, but if anyone has things that they've really been, burning questions over the past few months, I'm happy to do some digging.
Surprises.
All right. I like a surprise.
I have a suggestion. I don't know what the rest of you guys want, but previously in packets, when, and I'm not saying Michael was the greatest, but I mean, he included copies of the Sanborn maps, which I found pretty helpful. And I don't know if you guys, use those or not, but if those could be included, I would appreciate it.
Nope, that's really easy, so no problem. Thank you for asking. And another thing that I forgot to mention that Jessie just reminded me is that she just did all the work for us, so thank you, Jessie, to double check with all our window contractors, and that paper of the list of window contractors in the area is updated and available on our website.
Very good.
Great.
Thank you.
Did anybody drop off, or?
Yes, some people didn't respond.
Yeah.
A lot of people did. But, yeah.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
It's
Is
still
Michael
pretty
Miller
empty.
on the list?
Yes,
Oh,
he
good.
is, yeah. He was added before I could get to everybody else, because I called him and
Oh, okay.
he was good, so.
Good. New business from the commission. If not, I actually had Michael Miller at my house. He wanted to walk through, he finished up some of the construction on my house. And he was telling me about horror stories that he's had with things like Anderson aluminum clad wood, Anderson windows that have failed after 20 years. And that it really brought it home to the fact that we should look into having maybe some sort of seminar or something with the preservation partners to partner up on them to try to get people to understand the value of the original window and how it can be salvaged, and how much better it would be if you tried to salvage your window rather than just automatically thinking that it needs to be replaced.
Well, it's funny you say that, Paul, because at the camp event, the person running the meeting basically said the same thing you just said.
Yeah, and it is one of those things that what I wish we really could do is get some sort of grant to to defray some of the cost on window repair versus window replacement. Because I think that's where a lot of homeowners get really hung up in the fact that they're thinking that I have to have this, I'm getting this brand new window for a certain amount and I'm spending this much for an old window, but the old window probably will outlast the new window. So,
Right, if we could give people, $4,000 or $5,000 to defray the cost of repairing their windows, that probably in a lot of cases puts it in the same ballpark as replacement.
and would be.
And would be better.
And would be better. And, I discussed with them some of the concerns that the homeowners had with non-operable windows. He's like, I don't know why they would be concerned about that when I would have the window complete. It would operate just the way it did originally.
Right.
And he looked at the windows I have and said, yeah, we could get these to operate again. They've been painted shut for at least 15 years, and I would imagine more than that. So
Does he make storm windows?
he does, and he uses only a special type of wood that stands up to the elements. He wouldn't do them out of just plain cedar or clear cedar. He would do them out of a different material. But it would take the homeowner to put the storm on, take the storm off, put the screen on, take the screen off. And when you put a storm on, you basically get the same energy efficiency as doing double glazed windows.
And I think that's what people don't really believe or
Understand.
understand, and obviously having a storm window like that constructed is another cost element.
Correct.
Well,
Which
how can-
goes back to needing some kind of stipend from the,
Yeah.
city or something to, lay those costs.
How can the city maybe work with preservation partners and maybe get better educated on this or better learning that's one of the comments that came out of the meeting on that camp event, that there's a couple things I just wanted to discuss, but that was one of them that, I don't think people are really understanding, or they just don't want to hear it. They want to come in, apply for the permit and get their windows replaced, and a comment was made that Geneva is very difficult to get things through HBC.
I think, and we've been talking about this sort of in the offices after the camp event too, I think using that camp event as a jumping off point rather than a finishing point is really going to be our goal in the next coming
Right.
months and years and forever. And one of the goals that I have, and I think I'm hearing it from some other people as well, is looking into doing some kind of a window workshop, window education, where people can actually get their hands on and in windows as well.
Siding too.
Yeah.
Siding and windows, yes, exactly.
Yeah. And I have some experience working with the National Window Alliance, which is what it sounds like, it's a National Historic Wood
National
Window
Window
Alliance. Yeah. The studio that I worked at for some time through a class in New Orleans, we're pretty involved members of it. And they would do things in their workshop where you could go to their workshop and see them build a window and help build or work on common issues in windows, so that you could go home and do it yourself without even needing someone to come in, which helps with cost, when you can just pull it open yourself and change the rope out. I don't know that we would be able to get something like that set up right away, but that could be an eventual goal and something that we can collaborate with people with. That would always be helpful to share resources. And then working with someone like Michael Miller, and that him and the National Window Alliance and other people, I think would be a good way to get people starting to really understand what's on their window. Because if you don't even understand that you have a storm window on your house or what that is, it's kind of hard to jump from that to this is giving you the same energy efficiency that a modern window is giving you within one conversation with nothing in front of you. So I think that's a big goal, is starting to set up things like that with organizations that I'm in contact with, and organizations and people that Geneva is in contact with in general. And I can start looking into that. Maybe by next month I'll have some options for us if we're interested.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But then just the other comment I
Yeah.
wanted to make, that just the group from St. Charles was there, and the topic of siding came up. And they go on site to review the siding in person as opposed to seeing it through pictures, which I thought was kind of interesting. I don't want to speak for anybody on the committee. I mean, I'd be more than willing, because sometimes looking at the pictures is tough, but everybody comes in there and says, everything's 100% rotten. You know, is it something maybe we can go out and review or something? I said, just a, you know, comment.
That's definitely a possibility, and it's definitely something that I know has happened in the past. We would just have to get some advance warning with it, because we'd have to set up public notice if more than.
Yeah, I know it's not going to be a
Yeah.
tomorrow thing. I
Yeah,
said just
totally.
something. Yeah,
But it's something to be aware of, especially if maybe I see something coming down the pipe that might be more interesting to go visit than just to look at pictures of, or more useful rather than interesting.
Yeah,
It's an option.
I look at the 418 South Fifth Street. I wonder if we were at the actual house, whether we could
Right.
see specifics that were different than what the pictures would have shown. And we're usually, our purview is to, even when we're at the house, is to stay at the line of the sidewalk, if you will, the public way, and look from the public way, so.
Yeah, and that's not
That's not able
adequate.
to,
If
adequate,
it can be, you know, set up such that we could
go and
go
touch
there
it.
and talk to the owner and ideally talk to the contractor, their contractor during, you know, those meetings. And obviously, you know, we'd have to do the Open Meeting Act, you know, dog and pony show, but I think that's highly worthwhile.
Yeah, I think what we've done in the past is we did, I think when we were looking at the, there was a demolition, I think, of where the Inglenook Pantry was or something, and we all went in groups of 2. So,
Also definitely an option.
yeah,
Yeah.
so.
Right, but then that gets into, like, you know, maybe as a problem, not everybody would get to talk to the owner and
Exactly.
or their contractor,
Yeah.
so,
And different conversations.
yeah.
Yes. So, but that's how we got around it on that specific project. It was, I think we actually allowed the demolition because it was a hodgepodge of a building that didn't really, it had some historic.
That was a hodgepodge of a
It,
building.
it was, some portions of it were historic, but not all of it, and it had been altered beyond recognition for most of it, so. Okay.
Yep.
Anything else from the commission? If that, public, would you have anything to say?
Al?
I feel it's only fair, you guys are talking about me and I'm sitting right over there. You know, I gotta come up here and say hello, but anyway, Al Watts with Preservation Partners. A couple little things, just in the conversation we're having today. You were talking about the false windows, and I just want to make sure that it's the same thing. So the Beath House has 2 false windows, and they were built that way, and they're bricked over. And in fact, if you go to the Beath House on the south elevation, on the east, or the east elevation, there are shutters on the second floor window above the front door, and that's because that's just brick behind there. And we took the shutters off of the false window that's on the first floor in the south elevation. A lot of people walk by and ask them, why is that brick there? Well, we have the shutters off specifically so you can see that was a false window. And that was done so that William Beath could maintain the integrity of the Greek revival style, but also have what he wanted, which was upstairs he's got a closet, and downstairs it goes to the basement and just goes to nothing. So is that a different thing than what you were talking about
It's
here?
slightly different. We're
Okay.
talking about actually kind of a, not so much a false window, but a spandrel glass that would be in there, but it would have the same effect of that. I think actually the Muse has some false windows like that where they just gone with shutters or something over the top of that, and basically it's.
Yeah, the shutters are the easiest thing to cover because you can't, but you're not gonna put shutters on a porch.
Correct.
That would look really bad. Let's see, and then just, you were talking about the material that Michael Miller uses. It's called African mahogany. It's a very dense wood. It is on the Beath House. He replaced all of our storm windows. They were between $850 and $950 each. And we have, I think, 3 of the second floor windows, we can open them. So there's an opening, but it's not the kind of opening you would really want. It just kind of flanges out like that. But
So
we
you get some airflow.
So we get some airflow. It kind of comes up underneath of it basically, because we're not going and taking the storm windows on and off every season. We're just not going to do that. But we do. There is a way to make that airflow, and it was. I don't know how much storm windows are like new or whatever, but I mean, they were. I didn't feel that $850 was that expensive for a storm window. So, and it's
And that
natural
included the
wood.
glazing, right?
Yeah, included everything.
Yeah.
100%. So, and yeah, happy to work with Emily and you guys on trying to get some education. Obviously, one of the biggest issues is that our education can never compare to the amount of money that the window companies are putting out there in advertisements and things like that, and talking about how efficient and wonderful their windows are in all kinds of magazines and ads everywhere. So competing with that is very challenging. But having workshops to have people come to is always good. People like to at least not necessarily do it, but watch people do it. So
Just takes
that's
the
always
mystery
good.
out of it.
Takes a little bit of,
It's
right.
not really that.
Exactly. I mean, if you can show how to change the rope, like it takes like 5 seconds, whatever it is, then like, oh, okay, well maybe that's not so hard and complicated and expensive. The challenge is always getting those folks to come to talk about it, but we try to get media attention, all those kinds of things. So.
Just don't drop the weight.
Right.
My professor would actually bring a window that she had made that was just in like the casement to Jazz Fest and to other New Orleans festivals, and would have people pull it apart there while they were at the fest
Yeah.
as sort of a booth.
So you're saying exactly what you're just thinking is Swedish Fest.
Well, actually, even Festival of the Vine. I mean,
Well, that too.
Yeah, 'cause- or even the art that's
that's
coming up
coming
in 2 weeks, or, yeah, is it art?
Art fair.
Art
I don't
fair.
know how quickly we could build a full historic window,
I'm not
but
sure, I'm not sure that that's appropriate, but yeah, I mean, I think that would be an interesting thing to show and showcase at something like that.
and people are already there. You don't have to.
Yeah,
Right. Yep.
yeah, especially Festival of the Vine. I think
Yeah,
that's a
people
lot.
are half in the bag.
Half
so
in the
yeah,
bag.
come around this window.
Yeah,
Hey, break this window and redo it.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's it. Unless you guys have any questions for me.
No, I don't have.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks, Al.
Thank you. Yep. With that, can I get a
Motion to
motion
adjourn.
to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.